be able
Coming
to
up
do
on
that.
this episode of the Brockport
And,
30.
It's pretty comprehensive.
I'm Alyssa Daly, and this is the Brockport 30, a program created in Brockport for the Brockport community. Coming up this half hour, we will be going beyond the statistics of safety on college campuses and talking with university police officers on the ways students are protected when they're away from home. We will also have the chance to listen to the stories of 3 survivors whose recollections of their sexual assaults are filled with both tragedy and triumph. I'm Alyssa Daly, those stories, Margaret Stewart and Brandon Kostolnik, today on Brockport 30.
I'm Brandon Kostolnik. There are over 16 million college students in America today. 80% of these students either live on campus in dormitories or off campus in student housing. With such a high percentage of students living away from home, many for the first time, colleges are finding new and creative ways to keep students safe. Colleges and universities are being tasked with tackling the problems of sexual assault, drugs, and violence on their campuses. On this edition of the Brockport 30, we take an inside look at what's being done to ensure students' safety on Brockport's campuses and how these programs can be improved. Imagine you are walking to your car at night. There's not a soul in sight, and suddenly someone grabs you from behind. For most college students, this is a very terrifying and real possibility. What can the college at Brockport do to keep its students safe, and are they doing enough?
It's not a really big campus, so we can be anywhere. If we're in a car or we're mobile, we can be anywhere within a minute or 2 minutes. I mean, nighttime is we can be a lot quicker on nights because there's less traffic. Daytime, you're dodging cars and people left and right around here. But that's why we're emergency vehicles. We just put the lights and sirens on and hope that everybody moves out of our way.
The college has implemented many preventive procedures to ensure its students' safety on campus. The blue light system, the personal safety committee, and student check-in desks are just some of the ways that Brockport tries to prevent crime. Although these ideas look great on paper, this doesn't mean students are always safe.
The biggest thing that stuck out for me when I went to class, like when I got certified, was the instructor told us, think about the 3 women in your life that you love the most. Just picture them in your head, and now statistically, 1 out of the 3 of them has probably been sexually assaulted at some point in their life. And I feel like that just really puts it in perspective for people. It's you can say that for anyone. 1 out of 3 women has been or will be at some point in her life. It's just crazy how high the numbers are.
The main line of defense for student safety is university police. Lieutenant Mark Johnson has served over 15 years for Brockport's University Police Force.
Yes and no. It's very safe. We not only because it's a college campus, but because of where it's situated. It's in this rural portion of Monroe County. Very good lighting out here. It's patrolled 24 hours a day by the University Police Department, and usually we have anywhere between 1 to 4 officers and lieutenants working to respond to calls. But with that in mind, we don't want people to think that it's so safe that they become complacent. Over the years, we have had major crimes happen here, including a homicide and an attempted homicide. So luckily, the attackers were known in those situations, and they weren't random acts. But sexual assaults happen every year. We investigate rapes, forcible touchings, things of that nature every semester, and if not every school year. So we just don't want people to fall under that umbrella where they feel like they're so safe that they just let their guard down all the time, and then all of a sudden they become a victim.
While Brockport does have the reputation of being a dangerous campus, its crime statistics are shockingly lower than other state universities. According to the United States Office of Post-Secondary Education, Brockport has the lowest number of reported sexual assaults on campus and total criminal offenses when compared to SUNY Oswego and Buffalo State University. RAD, a sexual assault defense course, is just one of many programs university police have implemented on campus.
Well, one of the things about community policing is it's not a new concept to university police departments, but now it's becoming more prevalent with other traditional PDs like your towns and villages. It's basically the way to bridge relations with the people you serve. So we do a lot of other programs such as Operation Lockout or Operation ID, Coffee with the Cop. Seems like we do a lot of stuff that evolve around food. But the RAD program is specific to certain instructors. So like myself, Officer Fintag and Officer Thompson are certified instructors And what we like about it is it's a physical activity. There is some instruction. Your first day is usually about 3/4 of that is actually, there's an instructional phase. But what we like about that is it's a hands-on program that's extended out over time. And it's not just a simple meet and greet and then you forget about it. It's a 4-day course that we continue on, and every day is just a new portion that you're learning.
The RAD program, which is only available to female students and faculty, not only provides valuable knowledge on self-defense, but also the opportunity to create heartfelt memories.
We were doing a scenario, so it was the 4th day, the second class that we ever taught, and it was a simple scenario where I just came up from behind the student and grabbed her, just almost like a bear hug, and simulating that she was at the ATM and she was distracted. And once I wrapped my arms around her, she gave out this blood-curdling scream. I mean, it was so loud. It was very realistic to me. I could tell that she wasn't acting. This was her reacting to some kind of trauma in her past. And once she screamed like that, her instinct kicked in, which was great for me as an instructor to see, because she was able to fight off the attack. And not only that, but when she actually struck me in the chin, caused me to see stars, and actually made me fall down, and it was so real. That's what I liked about it. It was a very real moment for both of us. Her being startled and me actually getting my bell rung. So it was a great time, right, seeing that.
Safe Ride, a free car service for students, looks to help anyone who does not feel safe walking home.
Safe Ride is basically if you feel unsafe walking on campus, especially at night, because we operate from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. If you feel unsafe, whether male or female, we want to make sure that they know that there is resources available that they can use, such as Safe Ride, so they don't have to take that walk.
While Safe Ride is a program that can be used to help protect the college's students, there's always room for improvement.
I think a big improvement that Safe Ride can make is to get another Safe Ride, because right now people don't understand that the wait time can get super long because there's only one of us driving around campus and picking up all these different students. And like I said, in the winter time, around the weekends, we get super loaded with calls, and it's like sometimes we have up to 45-minute waits, and that's not very good. You feel like you're in an unsafe situation, and then people who are just trying to get a ride because they don't want to walk are the reason that we can't get to those people. So definitely adding another Safe Ride is something that we should definitely start looking into.
The RAD program, Safe Ride, and University Police Patrol are all programs that try to keep Brockport students safe. Looking at the future, it will be interesting to see how Brockport improves on these ideas and if they implement anything new to further ensure their students' safety. I'm Brian Kostalik. This is the Brockport 30.
The most essential part of the college experience is the relationships you make with those around you. A support group like the tutors available at the Academic Success Center will be what helps you make the grade. Outside of the classroom, you'll find your second family through organizations like the Stylists. And on-campus eateries, the staff will say hello with a smile to brighten your day. Relationships are the difference between attending a college and finding your home away from home. Make the decision that feels right, and once you do, we'll be here to welcome you to the family. I'm Melissa Daly, student at the College of Brockport, and I produce this message.
I'm Margaret Stewart. For decades, the topic of sexual assault has been taboo. Though it's common knowledge these assaults occurred, no one was willing to speak out. That all changed in January 2018. 17 years after Tarana Burke coined the phrase Me Too, the movement has gained momentum. Hundreds of people have been accused of sexual misconduct, sexual harassment, and sexual assault, with more survivors finding their voices every day. As Eva Longoria said, it's not a moment, it's a movement. On this edition of Brockport 30, we take a deeper look at how sexual assault impacts the student experience on the college campuses in the era of Me Too.
Across the country, women and men are reclaiming their space. The National Sexual Violence Resource Center reports 20 to 25% of women and 15% of men are victims of rape during their time in college. Through movements like Me Too and Take Back the Night, survivors are holding their attackers accountable while demonstrating their support for each other. On Wednesday, October 24th, victims of sexual assault and violence marched together at the Take Back the Night rally held at the college at Brockport. Take Back the Night is held annually in October, as more than 50% of college sexual assaults occur between August and November. Take Back the Night marches exemplify the strength of sexual assault survivors as they stand together, restoring their confidence, power, and most importantly, their voices. The topic of campus safety is taken seriously at Brockport. In response to the increasing number of assaults, university police have introduced programs like the Rape Aggression Defense Program to teach women the skills needed to protect themselves.
But the RAD program is specific to certain instructors. So like myself, Officer Fintak and Officer Thompson are certified instructors. And what we like about it is it's a physical activity. It's like an exercise program where we're learning, or people are learning how to punch, kick, and block. So it's not like we're doing push-ups and sprints and things like that, but we are doing strikes on bags. And the fourth day, which is the optional day, is when we actually give you scenarios, and then it's up to the student to actually fight back.
86% of sworn campus law enforcement agencies have a staff member responsible for rape prevention programming. As a woman sworn to serve, Officer Laura Thompson offers her perspective.
Being a woman, I feel like it's definitely beneficial. I like what the program stands for, giving women a chance to learn how to fight back and defend themselves, which I just think is great. I think every woman should try and at least learn some self-defense tactics. So I just, given the opportunity to teach women these tactics, I just think is, a great opportunity for women everywhere.
They're important because it shows that it happens here. We're not talking about some other outside world that you may or may not go to. It's here.
Alexandra Weaver, a senior journalism student attending the college, discusses how she was walking back from a movie in her hometown when she was assaulted.
My friend Otto, we've known each other since we were 14, and once we were walking to Liz's house, he sort of latched on to me, and he was talking about a lot of stuff, and now I realize that most of it was just gibberish to try to get my attention on him. It didn't really matter what he was saying, he just wanted me to focus on him. And then he brought up how I had a crush on him when I was like 14, like 8th grade. And I didn't realize that then, but he was kind of priming me.
The priming of victims is a common practice of predators. It allows them the opportunity to establish or strengthen a connection with their victim in order to lower their inhibitions so that they are less guarded and more receptive towards them.
And while I was in the bathroom, he poured 2 glasses of wine. And when I came out, they were already poured. He pointed to one and he said, "This is your glass." He pointed to the other and he said, "This is my glass." I didn't realize at the time that that was so weird, because usually if you pour 2 glasses, you don't really distinguish which one is which, because it doesn't matter, unless there's a roofie in one.
Unfortunately, the use of roofies or date rape drugs is not uncommon. At the Take Back the Night march, Adriana Thrasher-Scott shares a similar story.
This new dude offered to buy her a new drink, so she went off to the bathroom. When she came back, he had her drink. They were dancing, chatting. She started feeling dizzy and weak. The room starts spinning. He offers to give her a ride home. She tries to tell him no, she's supposed to stay with her friends. But she doesn't have the strength to protest, and she wakes up sore, naked, in a room she doesn't recognize. Scared, she finds what she can, runs out the door. No arrests are made.
Roofies have become a popular method of subduing a victim. Most commonly, they get slipped into someone's drink. Potent, these date rape drugs are colorless, odorless, and tasteless, so the victim doesn't know they have consumed the drug until it is too late.
The last thing I remember is I was on the ground. I don't remember getting to the ground. I don't know how I got there, but I remember pine needles from the trees outside just under my back, and he was on top of me. My clothes were on the floor, and I woke up to him grabbing at me up here and down here, and I had to like throw him off. And I actually was so upset that I started crying, and I cried so hard that I fell back asleep. And then I woke up to that again, him touching me like that again.
There are countless others who share a story similar to Alexandra's. Adriana Thrasher-Scott shares her stories with the participants in the Take Back the Night March.
A young girl was standing on a sidewalk, smoking a cigarette, and a limo pulled up. Window came down, and they asked her for the time. For that girl, time stopped. She was pulled into the limo. Two men stripped her of all their clothes. A champagne bottle penetrated her womb. In the end, she was left half naked, bloody, on the side of a highway in the middle of nowhere in Minnesota. Unsure of how she'd get back, to her dorm room, no arrests were made.
The National Sexual Violence Resource Center reports 90% of victims on college campuses do not report. In fact, sexual assault is the least likely crime to be reported. Alexandra offers one reason why.
People often ask if I reported it to the police. I didn't want to, go through the rape kit procedure and feel like somebody was, touching me more when I just didn't want to be.
That's a common feeling amongst survivors. Even when assaults are reported, there's often a lot of scrutiny surrounding the victim. Jenna Cohen is a social worker and recent Brockport graduate who reported her rape to a male officer. Unfortunately, it was the female officer who was sent to follow up with her that made her reevaluate her decision.
She gave me the very distinct impression that what happened to me was just sex, that's how blowjobs worked, that it had nothing to do with this man forcing me to give him oral sex, injuring my jaw, injuring the glands in my throat. It was that I was young and naive and didn't know what sex was. And so she asked me if my attacker had a big penis. And I remember thinking, yeah, it was like you're a woman, so I'm instinctively more comfortable with you to talk about sexual things. So when she asked me that, I was kind of taken aback, but still in this place of, I should be honest with police officers, and you're a woman, so it's a little bit more comfortable to talk to you about sex. So I just kind of I answered her honestly. I said, yes, he did have a big penis. And she said to me verbatim, which is a quote I use in the poem, well, maybe that's what guys with big penises think blowjobs are supposed to be like. I will never in my life forget that.
Only about 1 in 6 college-aged female survivors seeks help from an agency specifically suited for sexual assault victims. Working through the trauma has no set schedule. While survivors go through the healing process at different rates, many agree that talking about it helps them reclaim their story.
A lot of work. It's definitely not easy trying to kind of get through it, but I could just kind of realize that if I didn't become comfortable with the fact that it had happened to me, it was just gonna slowly kill me. So the way I see talking about it is taking that power that he tried to take away from me back.
People like Alexandria, Adriana, and Jenna are part of a larger movement. Across the country, there are countless survivors of all different gender identities standing up and standing together, taking part in rallies and marches, inspiring others to say, enough is enough. I'm Margaret Stewart with Brockport 30.
When you grow up surrounded by the hustle and bustle of New York City, sometimes you can't help but feel drowned out by all the noise. Come find your peace at the College at Brockport, where we offer beautiful scenery, state-of-the-art equipment, and professors who take a hands-on approach to your learning.
Hi, I'm Margaret Stewart, here with the Brockport 30, speaking to Cheryl Van Laer, a SANE nurse talking about sexual assault in the age of Me Too. So welcome, Cheryl.
Thank you.
What does SANE stand for?
So SANE stands for Sexual Assault Nurse Examiner, which is different than a SAFE, which is a Sexual Assault Forensic Examiner. So a SANE is a licensed nurse. It could be a registered nurse, a nurse practitioner, and physicians can do it as well.
And did you always know that you wanted to be SANE certified?
No, I actually was working in the emergency room and also with the homeless population and just saw a lot of sexual assaults, and the opportunity came along. Strong Memorial Hospital had a great program that trained and certified you, so I kind of joined the crew.
Can you tell me a little bit about that certification process?
So it entails about 150 hours of study, and then being able to perform a pelvic exam and that sort of thing, which, because I'm a nurse practitioner, I knew how to do anyways. So so it was more the 150 hours of study. And then you had to take a test and you got certified. And then the way that Strong works it is they have a crew that works. There's about 30 to 40 SANE with the Strong system. Other systems have SANE as well. And we would be on call, and you just got called for whatever happened during that period of time that you were on call. Usually 2 to 3 days in a row, you'd be on call.
So are you the SANE nurse specifically for the college at Brockport?
Now, we do not do SANE exams at the college.
Okay.
The reason is an exam takes about 3 hours, so we don't really have the staff to be able to do that. And it's pretty comprehensive. So it entails a very strenuous collection and that sort of thing. So we can see a student who reports a sexual assault and give them different options. But if what they want is forensic collection, it's best to go to a hospital center. So we refer to Strong West. Unity Hospital does it as well, or Strong in the city.
Okay. You had mentioned that you had seen some instances in like Strong and other times before becoming certified. How did you end up balancing that and taking it home, and then also providing like a personal experience for each?
So you do have to be able to kind of separate, kind of approach it from a very empathetic place, because this is a person who's gone through a pretty significant trauma, and at the same time, the science part of me has to be able to be very complete and for their benefit be able to get all the information. So it is a balancing act, and so you work with other people as well. So you have we call in, they always call in like a rape crisis counselor to be an advocate for them, and you have other hospital staff. So there's a lot of people that are there to kind of support that person. But in the SANE role, you have to be, it's very scientific, because there's many stages in collection, and it's just, kind of like one thing after the other that you have to do, and keeping that person's, allowing them to have some control. And they can pick and choose what things they want to have collected.
Okay.
Because otherwise it can be sometimes overwhelming. So you have to give them, they lost control, and so now they have to be given that control back.
Does that happen a lot, that some things are tested and some things are omitted?
Absolutely, because it's, if you wanted to know the complete process, there is a lot of collection from parts of the body that may be difficult. Yeah. So each time you do collection, you check with the person and make sure it's okay.
Okay. According to Arise Sexual Assault Services, it's a recommended minimum of 5 adult exams in a 12-month period. Is that the case? Has that been the case for you?
Yeah, absolutely. The group that I'm associated with, they require at least 2 exams a month. So,
Okay.
you know, to keep you current, and you have to maintain your certification. So, you know, continuing education and that sort of thing.
So going out, are these people who come to you would meet kind of that requirement, or what happens if, say, that you don't meet that requirement?
You're talking about the SANE nurse?
Yes,
yeah.
for the minimum of 5 adult
Yeah.
exams.
So if you didn't meet that requirement, then you would have to probably recertify,
Okay.
and maybe be, you know, checked out again. Make sure that you're you know, kind of up on what needs to be
Absolutely.
done. Yeah.
Would a victim of sexual assault interact with you only if there had been a sexual assault?
Yeah, the only time a SANE nurse gets called, and actually they can, if they go to the hospital and they report a sexual assault, they're asked whether or not they want a SANE exam, because they don't have to have it. We're only called if they request an exam.
Okay.
Actually, not just an exam, but collection of evidence, which is different than an exam, because you can get an exam by one of the attending, in the emergency room and be treated and things like that. But the SANE exam is like an addition, and it's not the staff at the emergency room. It's actually calling someone in who's on call to do that, because like I said earlier, it's about 3 hours.
All right. And do you know if all of the other SUNY campuses also require a SANE nurse to be on campus?
There actually is no requirement. No one has a requirement, so it's kind of like a nice thing when you do. So because most, like I said, most students who present are going to be referred to a local hospital to get that exam.
And about how often do you use your SANE training here at the College of Brockport?
Well, there's more to the. I don't use any of the evidence collection here because we don't do it. But you certainly, have learned a lot in terms of dealing with a person who's going through sexual assault, treating that, offering them different options. So, unfortunately, I use it more than I would like. But anytime a person presents, we're able to offer them different options.
Okay. And is there anything else that you'd like to add to maybe people who are hesitant to come and speak to you?
So a lot of times students are, uncomfortable. They don't want to think about it, put it out of their mind. And so a lot of times it's actually, suite mates or roommates or, an RA or a D, someone who will bring them over. And I guess the main thing is to, to kind of let those support people know that it's okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much for talking with us. This has been Cheryl Van Laer, and I'm Margaret Stewart for the Brockport 30.